Prime Minister Frundle Stewart says the first 40 years of CARICOM have been successful. His comments came during the community's 40th anniversary interfaith service held at the St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cathedral. Despite its successful past, the Prime Minister, who has lead responsibility for the CARICOM single market and economy, is stressing that CARICOM is imperfect and will encounter challenges in the future. But he says Barbados is fully committed to regional integration.
It is not to be expected. There will be challenges, but we must steer clear of the mistake of so exaggerating these challenges that we indict the whole effort being made at regional integration. There are more things that unite us as a people in the Caribbean than those things that divide us.
And Prime Minister Stewart says the Caribbean Court of Justice is just one of several examples of Caribbean integration. He explained the court was established to address disputes which arise within the region, and people should not be afraid to discuss its rulings.
We must accept the jurisdiction of that court, understand that the reason why we have courts locally, our own Supreme Court here, or our own magistrates' courts. And the reason why we have a court regionally is that there is always scope for disputes to be resolved. And we must not be afraid to discuss these disputes, must not be afraid to even discuss the decisions made by the court.
Well, several people gathered at the St. Mark's Anglican Church this morning for the memorial service for former Prime Minister of Barbados, David Thompson. Those present included his wife Mara, his three daughters Misha, Oya and Osa Marie, and several government ministers and members of the Democratic Labour Party. Mrs. Thompson described her late husband as being very patient while serving 14 years in opposition. She says the approach is quite contrary to the attitude which has been demonstrated by the current opposition. She stresses Barbados is running well and the members of the opposition Barbados Labour Party are only trying to divide the country.
As a leader, his 14 years in opposition armed him for statesmanship. Today, there are leaders in our country who can't wait 14 months and have discovered instant government. The point I am making here is for us to guard and honor the statesman approach to managing the affairs of this country. The attempts by the opposition to convey that this rock is cracking must be countered. The late party leader was not known for the kind of drama that we have come to witness in the last few days.
And in the meantime, Minister of Finance Chris Sinclair says the former Prime Minister was calm and determined even when under pressure. He notes that the government has created a path for the economy.
When dealing with troubling times, you know, we live in an instantaneous society. I call it the instant coffee society. We expect that everything is going to be done immediately and instantly and instantaneously. Unfortunately, in management of public affairs, in governance of people, the instant and the instantaneous nature that some people like to adopt is not necessarily always the best thing to happen.
Well, at this hour, hundreds of Barbados Labour Party supporters are in Queen's Park, many of them signing a petition titled "For Love of Country, Unity for the Right Reasons." It's all part of the opposition's effort to move its motion of no confidence in the Finance Minister, Chris Sinclair. The opposition is hoping to move the motion in Parliament on Tuesday and is pushing to have the debate broadcast live from the House of Assembly. Just a short while ago, BLP leader Mia Motley told supporters that no amount of time will heal Barbados' economic condition as it now stands. She's also charged that recent actions by the Finance Minister have scarred Barbados' image on the international market.
Why would a Minister of Finance announce that there was no confidence in his economy and then go to the international markets to borrow? It was folly. It was reckless. And it led to the international market saying, we agree with you. You say there is no confidence, and we too say we do not have the confidence to buy your bonds.
And in the meantime, former opposition leader Owen Arthur voiced strong support for the no-confidence motion brought by Ms. Motley. He says the opposition's case this time around is stronger than ever.
So if there is no confidence in Barbados at home by the admission of Chris Sinclair, and there is no confidence in Barbados government abroad by the actions of the international financial community, what is left to a serious opposition to tell the country through our parliament what the rest of the world is telling us?
Sad news now. For the second time in 36 hours, the local police fraternity has been plunged into mourning after another death of one of their colleagues. Dead is 38-year-old Sergeant David Young of Parkinson Field, St. Michael. Young's body was discovered in his home earlier this morning. When a CBC team visited the St. Michael district this afternoon, a large crowd had gathered at the home of the deceased. Some of those there, including lawmen, wept openly, while others just stood silently in apparent disbelief. Close friend Wade Quinton says Sergeant Young was a good person.
When I heard the news today, I was very shocked to hear one of my good friend has died. So it really hit me, and everybody in the neighborhood was really, really shocked. We really lose a good man. He was a good friend. We grew up together, we remote together, and now he's gone. So it really hit me.
In the meantime, neighbor Diana Farrell, who spoke to CBC off camera, described Sergeant Young as a son.
I knew him from the time he was a young boy. He went to school with my son at Luther Thorne Primary, and then they both went on to Queen's College. He is a very, very, pleasant boy. Actually, I could say he's like a son to me, growing up in the neighborhood. And I would really, really miss him. It was a real sudden thing this morning, and it came as a shock to everyone in the area because, I saw him up to Friday.
Well, more tragic news now. A 2-year-old Barbadian baby boy has died in a late-night fire last night at Elmsford, Westchester County, New York. That fire left his mother with second-degree burns and 3 other adults injured. Dozens of New York firefighters and police officers responded to the fire at 107 Sears Avenue about 10 in the evening, arriving to find flames shooting through the roof and several family members trying to re-enter the home in search of the boy. The child's body was recovered today from an attic bedroom, and an autopsy is scheduled.
Intense smoke coming from the home here on Sears Avenue in Elmsford. Neighbors say that there were more people in the house than usual because the family had several relatives visiting from Barbados. We're told that several of those people were in fact transported to the hospital, including one woman who witnesses say suffered serious burns on her arms. Neighbors described for us the scene.
We were standing outside, and next thing you know, we looked up and we smelled smoke. Then we looked on top of his house and the roof was burning.
Well, Minister of Social Care, Constituency Empowerment and Community Development, Steve Blackett, says his ministry will continue to offer social protection programs for the poor. His comments came during this morning's Prayer Warrior Breakfast. 2 of the ministry's latest initiatives are the IC Bridge Pilot Program and the Positive Parenting Program. He says the IC Bridge program will address families in generational poverty in Barbados, as participants will be chosen from across the 30 constituencies.
My ministry's thrust is to offer a higher level of social protection to our most vulnerable groups. While it is true that we will always have the poor with us, we endeavor in our ministry to make the lot of these individuals more tolerable and to empower them to better their existence, rather than to continually have to depend on state assistance.